and her escape from her abusive husband. After entering the interrogation room, the wife asked Chae Sang how he planned to pull himself out of this situation, considering the possibility of her escaping from the chairman. Chae Sang said he knew a chairman who owned a private island in the Philippines, and once he had the evidence, he would arrange for her and her son to escape to the Philippines. When he was sure everything was settled, he would come forward and help her get a divorce. She then told him she saw a hammer in the safe that was covered in blood. He asked when she could bring the evidence, and she said she would bring it tonight, as the chairman was meeting with the chief prosecutor and wouldn't answer his phone. Sion objected to acting immediately, as it was too dangerous for the person providing evidence. But Chae Sang said that if there was no better option, they should go ahead with that. That night, the wife used the excuse of arranging flowers in the chairman's office to enter and retrieve the evidence. Sion and the team leader drove behind her. While driving, the wife received a picture of her son being abducted and was extremely panicked. She received a call from an unknown number, which was Pin Du. It turned out Pin Du had noticed something was off with the wife and had sent people to follow her. He knew she was helping Chisan. He took a step ahead and kidnapped her son to threaten her. When they received the news of the wife and son's disappearance, everyone was extremely panicked. When the wife arrived at the location Pinwoo demanded, he confessed that he was the chairman's illegitimate son, a secret he had hidden from her for years. He recounted his miserable life with his money-hungry mother, how she clung to wealthy men and got pregnant to extort money from them. He lived a life of abuse and neglect from his own mother. And it was he who had attacked his own mother. Pinwoo then used the very hammer that the wife had brought to knock her unconscious. Chae Sang was sitting in his office when he received the news and rushed to the scene. Witnessing the wife lying dead on the floor, he couldn't believe his eyes. The chairman ran to Pinwoo and saw him covered in blood. Pinwoo was still smiling and said, "This time, I protected Dad." The chairman grabbed Pinwoo by the neck and demanded to know why he had done this. Pinwoo responded that the wife had brought evidence to the police station to report the chairman's crimes. It seemed as though the chairman was psychologically manipulated by Pinwoo and couldn't resist. After his wife's death, the chairman seemed emotionless and continued his election campaign, ultimately winning. He continued to plan to cover up his dirty deeds. In the interrogation room, Sion and the team leader were questioning two captured criminals. They confessed to committing all the crimes with a defiant attitude. Sion, enraged, lunged at them, but was restrained. At the prosecutor's office, Sion went into Chae Sang's office and accused him of being responsible for everything. Chae Sang explained that he did everything he did because he didn't want Sion to get hurt. As they argued, the team leader rushed in and turned on the TV, showing news reports of Chae Sang being investigated for legal manipulation and forgery of evidence. Later, Chae Sang and his boss was summoned to the chief prosecutor's office, where they were berated by the chairman. They were then dismissed by the chief prosecutor. Pinwoo continued his drug research on himself with an unfazed and nonchalant attitude. In the car garage, he saw someone holding a hammer. Suddenly, he remembered the day he attacked all the people in the orphanage. He then went to the chairman and offered to help him. He handed him the weapon, saying, "This is a deal. If you don't agree, take this to the police." Sion sat in her office, remembering when she went to the hospital to visit the chairman's wife and her son, but found Chae Sang there instead, apologizing to the boy. He even knelt down, expressing deep remorse. When Sion returned home from the office, she noticed footprints and sensed a danger. She drew her weapon for self-defense and followed the footprints to the bedroom. She found Chae Sang drunk and asleep on her bed. When he opened his eyes and saw Sion, he thought he was back in the other world. He embraced her and apologized for not protecting her. Sion didn't understand what was happening but didn't resist. The next morning, they went to the office and found many people protesting and shouting insults at Chae Sang. The student who had been framed for violence by Chae Sang charged at him, but the team leader intervened. Once the student was taken away, Chae Sang saw his tearful, broken state and remembered the happy family he had known in the other world. He felt ashamed of the things he had done in this world. After the incident, the team leader told Chae Sang that their goals were different from the beginning. He questioned why Chae Sang was protecting the bad guys while they were bearing the brunt of the consequences. Chae Sang, filled with shame, admitted he had no face left. In a meeting, the boss told everyone that Chae Sang would likely be indicted for abuse of power in a week. The special investigation team would be disbanded. But he decided to give Chae Sang a chance. He said before the mayor's inauguration ceremony, Chae-sang must solve the case. Immediately after, they received news about the identity of the blonde woman, Dang Hai. The team leader and his subordinates went to the hospital where she was staying. The doctor told them that she had suffered a brain hematoma due to a severe concussion and was experiencing aphasia. She had difficulty thinking and speaking. When they entered the room, they found her unconscious. When they brought up the case, she began to panic and lost control. Chae-sang and Sai-on went to a hypnotist. Chae-sang wanted to use hypnosis to recover lost memories that could help solve the case. After being hypnotized, Chae-sang remembered everything that happened that night in the other world, alongside Sai-on. From searching for her to being beaten and tied up, and then seeing the man with the bat tattoo. Sai-on, standing beside him, was stunned by his revelations. Due to his excitement, the doctor woke him up. Back at the office, Sai-on asked Chae-sang what happened during the hypnosis. Pressed for an answer, Chae-sang said that while unconscious, he had lived in a different world. After asking a nurse if Dang Hai had any family, the team leader suddenly discovered that the hospital was funded by the chairman and Pin Yu. Back at the office, Sai-on still didn't believe Chae-sang's story. She told him he was crazy and should seek mental treatment after the accident. After the team compiled all the information from their investigation, they learned that Dang Hai had named her son after the Sanho company owned by the man. They investigated and discovered that the company was previously owned by the chairman, Dusik. They'd also found the song that she constantly hummed. When Sai-on heard it, she was stunned because it was exactly the same song Chae-sang had sung while being hypnotized. The chairman was planning to eliminate Pin Yu, who was his biggest obstacle. But he didn't realize that Pin Yu had planted a listening device in his room and heard the entire plan. Pin Yu said he would teach him a lesson. The investigation team found a man who had worked at Sai-on's brother's orphanage. They brought him in for questioning. He recounted that a boy named Sun Ho had registered to stay at the orphanage. After his arrival, many strange things happened. Farm animals were found dead with their heads smashed. Soon after, other children in the orphanage were injured. He witnessed Sai-on's brother questioning Sun Ho, asking if he was responsible for all the incidents. However, Sun Ho's reaction sent chills down their spines. He then fell down the stairs, leading everyone to believe the headmaster had pushed him. The headmaster was ostracized and branded a devil in disguise. After hearing this, Sai-on concluded that the orphanage incident wasn't caused by the chairman, but by Sun Ho. Chae-sang called two of his colleagues to the hospital where Dang Hai was staying to steal internal data. When he arrived, he heard a familiar song and saw Pin Yu singing it. He approached him and pretended to strike up a conversation. As Pin Yu was about to leave, Chae-sang called out his name, San Ho, causing him to freeze. He then shared all the clues he had found with Pin Yu. Pin Yu warned Chae-sang to protect the people he wanted to protect, as they might be attacked in the same way. This angered Chae-sang, who grabbed Pin Yu by the collar. As he closed the door, Pin Yu revealed his fear, not understanding how Chae-sang knew his secret. Back at the police station, Chae-sang learned that Sai-on was going to receive an award the next day. He was worried because in the other world, an incident had occurred on the same day. Seeing Chae-sang standing alone, Sai-on asked if something was wrong. Chae-sang simply told her to go to a safe place far away after receiving her award. When Sai-on asked why, he didn't answer. He embraced her, visibly anxious. The next day, Chae-sang and his colleagues discovered new evidence and were on their way to secure it. On the way, Chae-sang called the team leader and asked him to stay with Sai-on all day to protect her.